All right. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and get started. um, Welcome. If this is your first time hearing about DC Gaming Group, or if you already are a member of the DC Gaming Group, welcome to our new weekly video podcast called DCGG Direct. Um, why the name? Well, it's kind of catchy. The Of course, DCGG stands for DC Gaming Group, but the direct part, I am literally biting that from the Nintendo Direct series, where Nintendo does like say like a quarterly uh video presentation, talking about the different offerings that Nintendo's going to have in this current or upcoming quarter. So I kind of wanted to use that same approach, but use it in a more community focused manner. I want to use this as a vehicle to let you all know about what's going on with the the community as a whole, what updates we have, um, and the format is going to fluctuate. It's going to be um, there might be some game streams kind of built into it. Um, there might be what do you call we're gonna have special guests that come on. So it's gonna fluctuate, but this first few DCGG directs is gonna be more of the leadership team talking to you all about all of the cool things that we're gonna be doing in the coming weeks. So I want to introduce myself. My name is Creston. Uh, my Discord name, if you see me on Discord, my Discord name is Not Circ. And Not Circ is literally my name spelled backwards. Um, it's funny. It's a lot. It's funny that I've been using this alias for a while. I used to use like back in my 360 days. I used to use Unseeming Death, and kind of outgrew that. Of course, like when you're high school, college, you're trying to be cool. You're trying to be intimidating. Like, oh, I got matched up with Unseeming Death. He's gonna kick my ass and blah blah blah. Nah, not not anymore. My competing days are over. I still like to compete, but I just like to compete with my friends and people that I know, and just kind of kick their ass and have a good laugh at it, or them kicking my ass and them having a good laugh at it. So a little bit about myself. I grew up here in DC. Uh, I For a full time gig, I do full stack web development, and full stack basically just means if you know how websites work, you basically have what we call the front end is what you see on the website. Then we also have a whole other layer that's on the back end, and that's basically how data gets to and from you know uh, websites basically. So as a full stack developer, you kind of do both. So some days I work on the front end, some days I work on the back end, um, and some days I work on both. So that's what I do full time. Um, my history with gaming. I literally just turned 30 Tuesday. So I'm already feeling it in my bones and my body. I'm already feeling a little achy. So I'm getting up there in age, but I'm excited. Last 30 years has been really really good. I really can't complain. So I'm really trying to go into 30s with a new um, initiative of like creating more content. So you'll see content here on the DCGG channel I'm gonna be featured in, but also I'll have my own personal um, I have my own personal channel that I'll start doing some content on there as well. So that's kind of like my new initiative for going into 30 is really trying to, create the content that I feel like is lacking in the gaming community and then the tech community as a whole. So you'll see me behind the camera a lot more. Um, yeah, a little bit about my gaming history. I grew up playing PS1, N64. N64 is actually my first console that my parents got me and not my brother. The PS1 was more my brother's, so we always fought to play that. That was frustrating. I was extremely happy when I finally got the N64. Um, some of my favorite games of that particular era, I would have to say Star Fox 64, Mario Kart 64. Um, on the PS1 side, Siphon Filter, uh, Wipeout, Jet Moto. What else? Um, the SmackDown series. Um, Crash Bandicoot, of course. Um, so I so I definitely kind of ran the gamut in that specific time frame. And then shortly after the N64, Dreamcast came out. Then the Dreamcast just literally changed my life. Like that was the first time I played like online, and Dreamcast is probably still one of my favorite systems of all time. Just the life that comes out of that system is just so it's nothing else compares to that. So I was really upset that it got discontinued, but like as I got older, I understood the economics behind it. I see why they didn't do well. Um, so fast forward a bit. I went to school in Florida. I went to Florida A&M University, also known as FAMU for short. Um, and while I was there, one of the things that I noticed, and uh, I was big on Halo 3 at the time. And one of the things I quickly noticed was that nobody was outwardly saying that, hey, I'm, playing Halo 3 or I'm playing any types of Halos. And so I was, a lot of people were playing at the time. It was the first Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, not 2019 Modern Warfare. And they're playing that, and they're also playing. I think I think at the time it was 2K. Must have been 2K8, NBA 2K8, Madden 2008, that type of stuff. So people were playing that, and I was frustrated. I was like, ah, man, like I want to play Halo, but everybody else is playing these different games. So I had the bright idea to start. Um, I created this simple as poster or flyer in Microsoft Word. Took like the coolest image of Halo 3 I could find. Posted that on the flyer in Word. Typed under there, Halo Club, and then I put my number there. Actually, I put my number and I put my email there, and I started putting them up on the bulletin boards around my dorm. And anybody that went to FAMU, it was I was in Gibbs dorm. I was on the fourth floor or fifth floor. My roommate just contacted me not too long ago and reminded me which floor, but I forgot. So uh, I was so basically that was kind of my start into fostering gaming communities and fostering communities that um, I wanted I wanted there to be. I basically created what didn't exist. Um, so from there, it grew. People started hitting me up. We started doing like Halo LAN parties every Friday night. And it was a blast. And then from there, I met some really close friends. And then we once we moved off campus, we got the bright idea as to actually create an official video game club on campus. And as you can imagine, I mean, FAMU is a uh, it's a HBCU. HBCU is a historically black college and universities. Um, so there's a particular HBCU experience that a lot of uh, people that are familiar with it can relate to. I necessarily wasn't the one. I felt like I just what I wanted to do was create and I didn't even really know the term at the time, but really kind of create a blurred culture at FAMU, and through that was creating a video game scene. So as you can imagine, kind of going against the typical clubs and organizations that existed and that are kept cropping up, we were met with a lot of resistance at first, or not necessarily resistance, but like, you want to create a what? A video game club? What are you all gonna do? Like play video games with each other? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we're gonna do. So after being almost laughed out the office, the the OSA person, she finally saw, she understood, not she necessarily understood what we were trying to do, but she understood that we were serious about it. And so we went through the process of doing all our paperwork and finding, and luckily, and shout out to Dr. Black, who is he's a professor at FAMU. He was in the the CIS department, but now he's over in the business school. So shout out to Dr. Black. Honestly, like, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have got this video game club going. And then honestly, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been in this career. He was my first teacher into programming, and he was extremely passionate about what he does, and it just emanated, and I learned so much, and I always try to give as many props to him as possible. But yeah, anyway, we got the organization started. We got it officially recognized. Um, and then from 2009, I think, until about 2012, yeah, about 2012, we ran the video game club. And I think the club is actually still active on campus. Not right now, of course, due to COVID, but the entity still exists. They are still active, and so that was the first step into uh, creating video game communities, and bringing folks together, that type of stuff. Um, so graduated in 2012, came back up to DC, and I wanted to continue doing what I was doing at FAMU, and uh, so I ended up actually meeting this guy. His name was his Action, and then we started. I brought to him the concept of like doing gaming events for more like casual folks, not necessarily. I mean, the whole term esports wasn't necessarily coined yet, but basically just doing gaming events around DC. And the organization was called Pop Up Arcade DC. And that was a very fun time. We did a lot. We did a lot with little. We had a Action worked at the Blind Wino over in Southwest. So we were able to get that space pretty frequently. So we did that for about a couple years maybe or so. This was 2013 to about 2015 or so. Yeah, or 2014 to about late 2015. So almost 2 years. Um, so that was a fun time. We did a lot. But we had creative differences for the organization, and I wanted to do more on the education side, and I just kind of needed to get out of that situation because it just wasn't working for both of us. So, um, but shout out to Action. That was a fun time. But that was kind of like my first exposure to as an organization kind of folding and that. So shortly after that, I went to Tag Labs. Tag Labs is and I'll do a separate video about this, but basically it's an organization that teaches kids how to make video games. And the component that I brought from the pop-up arcade um, side was doing gaming events for children. And so that was really fun time. I spent about 4 years at the organization. Recently left back in June of 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So, um, fast forward to about right now. Not necessarily right now, but I would say like late 2019. Um, One of the things I always wanted to do was continue doing gaming events, but more so for um, adults. And what I mean by that is, folks that are a little older, say like college to, you know, whatever age, basically. Um, and it's more so for folks that have like lives outside of gaming. They game pretty often, but may not necessarily. We're trying to go a more casual route, basically. And there's a few or gaming communities around the DC area, but their main focus was esports. I personally don't care for esports because it's just not my thing. I'm not into gaming for competing. I'm really into gaming to have try as many games as possible, but also um, you know hang out with folks. There wasn't any um, space for folks like myself, like working folks that have like maybe a couple days at the most to game. Um, so part of that is like why don't we just create this space for adult gamers in the DC area? And so met up with a lot of folks that I met at my previous ventures and kind of gather everybody. And the next video uh, we're gonna do it's gonna be the whole DCGG leadership team, and I'll introduce everybody, and we'll talk about DCGG as a whole. But um, yeah, just basically gather everybody that I knew would be interested in something like this, kind of pitch the idea, and got everybody's blessings, and also asked if, hey, you want to help out. And so fast forward to where we are now. We were on track to do um, about 3 gaming events, I want to say, back in February March timeframe. But of course, that time was when everything started to shut down. So we had to shift to a more like online focus. But we do have a really cool video that is that was created by Hank, who is he has a production company, and I actually met him at one of the gaming expos out in Dulles area. It's at a video. It's called the Video Game Exchange Bazaar. But it's basically sponsored by East Starland, and they used to do it quarterly. Of course, now because of COVID, everything is postponed probably till like 2021, most likely. So yeah, I met him there. We had a friendly match of I saw him playing Third Strike. They have like arcade cabinets set up, and so I'm a big fighting game fan, and particularly a Street Fighter fan. So I went over and just you know how you do those. You kind of like you size them up, be like, let me see if he good or not. Oh, okay, I can. And so you just walk up and then you you start playing them. And so we had a really we had a good few matches, and then I just struck up a conversation with him. Come to find out, he's a huge gamer. He actually has his own organization that does like game nights and stuff. I'm forgetting the name, but once I get that, I'll put that out there. But um, the biggest thing is, yeah, I just said, hey, I have started a new organization. We're doing our first event, and I think our event was February 28th, if I'm not mistaken, or 29th. I think today was this the leap year? I think so. Yeah. So so yeah, he said, okay, that's cool. Like I can come out and film the event. And so long story short, we put together a really cool video for us, and I'm gonna link that firstly on our website, and also it's in our Discord, which I'll go over in a short bit. Um, but uh, but yeah, we the whole point of DC Gaming Group is for the diversity of the different types of gamers, whether it be gender, whether it be race, ethnicity. But the other thing, and it's very interesting as a gamer demographic, is that there's so many different types of gamers. I'm just thinking of like my friends, um, like and how each of us have different tastes, but we also have different intersections as well. So we wanted to create a community that addresses that has a little something for everybody. I know that's a hard task to narrow down, but just wanted to like at least connect folks that are into Animal Crossing or into Overwatch or Call of Duty, that type of stuff. And then even like the indie game scene right now is really huge. There's a bunch of cool uh, multiplayer games that are available, and so having a space for that was our goal, was to connect people, to have these very cool conversations about the gaming industry, your likes or your opinions on things. So that was kind of the goal. Of course, now things have changed because of COVID. We're switching to a more online focus presence, which is why I'm actually doing these weekly videos, is to kind of uh, put a name behind the organization, put like you know leadership and folks that are active in the community, put a face to our names. Like we all have our aliases on various platforms, whether it be Discord or even like Xbox or PlayStation, that type of stuff. We all kind of go by aliases, but wanted to put a face to who's behind the scenes, as trying to put people together and have a good time playing video games. So that was kind of um the purpose of this organization, and then also the purpose of these videos. So the the thing I wanted to talk about today was our Discord server. I wanted to kind of walk you through sort of our thinking as to like setting up the server, and then also trying to get folks like one of the things we notice is folks that join the server, but don't necessarily participate in discussions, and so we're trying to get you lurkers out the shadows and hang out. Um, I don't know, like Discord is notorious with like notifications and things, so we fixed that so that you don't get bombarded with all kinds of notifications when various chats are going on. So I'm going to switch my screen to our Discord server. So as you can see, one of the things that we wanted to focus on was having a plethora of different channels. I know this is very overwhelming at first, but once you start, looking through them, yeah, as you can see, we have a lot of stuff for different types of folks. So I'm just gonna go through our major channels that we have so far. I'm just kind of explain why they exist, how to properly, not properly, but how to use it, that type of stuff. So gonna start here with our general channel. Of course, if you're familiar with, if you ever use Slack or uh, Microsoft Teams, things of that sort, it's very similar setup. Every server has a general channel where you can basically talk about, you can do announcements, you can welcome folks, that type of stuff. So it's just kind of like a catch-all channel. As you see there, I announced that I was doing this video, and I'm actually going to pin that pretty soon. Also, if you take a look at our pinned messages, this is actually where you can find the video that the community member Frobocop, aka Hank, put together for us, and you can kind of see what our philosophy is with the DC Gaming Group. All right, so that's general. So it's literally general conversations, all types of stuff happen there. Announcements. I haven't been using this as much. Our biggest thing was using this for doing events and things of that sort. So since we're now moving more towards online events, we're going to start utilizing this area to do any new announcements on upcoming events, that type of stuff. And then we also have a welcome channel, which basically is an overview as to all of our channels and kind of explanations as to like what everything means, how to use it, that type of stuff. Actually, I need to update these. Some of these either are there or not. Let's see. Yeah, this Parsec one is not there anymore. So, yeah, take a look. But the main things are still there. So yeah, let's move on. Tabletop. So we have a big contingency in our community of tabletop gamers. Specifically, Detective Tomato and Sun Canoe. They are really big into the tabletop scene. They have a pretty big collection of things. They are also they're also really they do a lot of discovery, and they post some links to different new board games, that type of stuff. So if you're into the tabletop gaming scene, we definitely have some folks that know their stuff, that post some reviews on any new tabletop games. So definitely check that out if you're in that scene. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to use that. All right. Of course, with any gaming scene, gaming and anime go hand in hand. So of course we have our new anime channel where you can talk about various animes that you're watching. You can suggest anything, get suggestions from other folks, that type of stuff. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Of course, we have to have our pets channel. So if you have any pets that you'd like to share, feel free to do that. I have a cat. Her name is Tuxedo. You can see her here. She likes to hang out whenever I'm sitting over here. I'm trying to find out where she is. I guess she always switches up her hiding spots during the day. So, so as you can see, we have a wide variety of cats and dogs. So yeah, so if you have a pet, feel free to add that on there. Share some images. All right. Uh, One thing that I'm super passionate about is sharing gaming deals. There are a few. Um, let's see. There are a few uh, sources that, particularly on Twitter, Facebook, all sorts of things. There are a bunch of people that uh, put together a list of all of these weekly deals, daily deals. So if you come across any deals, please share them here. It is extremely helpful for folks that may want to, get a game pretty soon. They can refer to this channel. Um, so this one is one that I'm super passionate about. All right, next one, reviews. So this one is a little freeform. Sometimes what I like to do is I share some reviews on games, like games that I'm excited about, or games that other folks are excited about. And then also it's sort of a way to write your own reviews as well. I like to do like a brief write up on certain games, like when I'm done. Like for instance, Doom Eternal and Resident Evil 3, just finished those in the last few weeks, and both I love both of those games, and just kind of did like a quick overview of those games, and really just kind of talked about it. And so this is what that area is for. You can review, you can share reviews, that type of stuff. So it's more free form, but the main thing is just kind of sharing, why you like games and why you didn't, that type of stuff. Unpopular opinions. This is also a fun one. This was one that kind of grew out of. I have some unpopular opinions. Like for instance, I don't like RPGs. I won't say RPGs. I'll say I don't like turn-based RPGs. And I typically like shy away from those type of games. I just, it never grabbed me. I never played one single Final Fantasy game. Not interested. Never played any of the Zeldas. Never been interested in that series. And I know it's blasphemous. It's unpopular. It's an unpopular opinion. And so I wanted to create a safe space for that. I feel like as gamers we are always combative to people's opinions and preferences. Um, and so I wanted to create a safe space where it's non-judgment, um, space where you can say that, hey, I didn't think God of War was that good. No, that's not me personally. That's just an example. Or I didn't think Animal Crossing. Here's an actual one. I don't understand what uh uh um I don't understand the appeal of Animal Crossing. I really don't. But that's just my preference. But it's a safe place. It's a safe place. Um. Oh, what's up, Maurice? Yeah, man. No Final Fantasy. No Zelda. Yeah, I play games, man. Just not those games. I never been interested in it. But nah, that's the whole point of this channel right here, is to to voice those things. Like for instance, like we were just talking about Mortal Kombat 11. That's an extremely popular game, but um, compared to Mortal Kombat X, like it's boring. It's super boring. Um, so I just think that 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 type of um, that type of discussion is needed, and so I wanted to create that space. It's a non-judgment area. You can ask, like, hey man, like why don't you like Zelda? What do you mean? And we can discuss that. So um yeah, I mean, it's just this is this is one that I'm extremely passionate about. I want folks to really participate, share their unpopular opinions, and we can discuss that. But it be a non-judgmental space, and we can have adult conversations about these type of things. Um, so yeah. Want to do a shout out to Abel Martin. What's up, man? Maurice, Zach, what's up? Yeah. See, I know y'all are already reacting. So y'all need to join this unpopular opinions channel and voice your rage as to why I don't like Zelda or I don't like Final Fantasy. Um, that's what that whole channel is for. So if y'all haven't joined that yet, please do. Uh, cool. So moving on to our next channel, Backlog Club. So as gamers, we as much as we wish we could play all the games that we want. But life gets in the way. Blah blah blah. Finances. Blah 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 blah. So we tend to build up a backlog, and we I wanted to create a channel that we can kind of talk about your experience in like where you are in your backlog, basically. Like for instance, I have a whole Trello board. I'll bring it up probably a little later, but I have a whole Trello board that I'm just like tracking um, basically like all the games that are in my backlog. Like right now, I'm playing through Jedi Fallen Order. Like I wanted to play that when it first came out, but there was a bunch of other games that kind of took precedence. So put it in my backlog, and so now I'm playing through that. So um, this is just a space to kind of share your progress with that, where you are, what games you're looking forward to playing, that type of stuff. Um, so yeah, it's sort of it's an area to really just kind of share that eternal struggle that gamers have of like conquering their backlog. All right. Next one is podcast. So I'm an avid game podcast listener. Um, and so I share different episodes I think were pretty good. Like for instance, this one was with Hugo Martin from the uh, uh, the team behind Doom Eternal. So he had about a 2 hour conversation with Joe Rogan, and it was interesting because Joe Rogan is, if you all know, he's probably like one of the most popular podcasts out here. But his background is he's a comedian. He's into the MMA scene. He's just I'll call him like a renaissance man. Like he's in a bunch of different stuff, but he's not. I mean, he's very casually into gaming. Particularly, I think the one series that he was really into was Quake, and I think he still plays like the original Quake or Quake 4, 3, whatever. But it was interesting because it was you have this very popular game director talking to a person that's not necessarily into the gaming scene. So it was very interesting, kind of seeing that interaction. But basically, this channel is for you to share any cool gaming podcast related content here. Um, all right. Next one, single player adventures. So um, we have a lot of folks that aren't necessarily like I'm a big FPS multiplayer fan. So I basically play like try to play like all of them that I can. But I also delve really deep into single player games. And then there's some folks that are really single player gamer only. And so wanted to kind of create that multiplayer experience, but for single player gamers to kind of talk about their adventures in that game, talk about how they're liking it so far, that type of stuff. So it's a sort of a multiplayer existence in a way that is you're able to kind of talk to the community about your experience with that single player game. So like for instance, right now I'm playing through Fallen Order, and that game is fun. Like it's I didn't I was kind of I think the one reason why I did put it on my backlog is I found that it was more so like Sekiro than Force Unleashed, and I was a big Force Unleashed fan. The first one, not the second one. The second one is garbage. It was a that game. But so so that was me personally, just kind of talking about my experience so far with Fallen Order. So yeah, this is just a space for you to kind of talk about those experiences, and so wanted to you know give a space for folks that don't necessarily play multiplayer games. And then we got retro gaming. Of course, that's kind of self-explanatory. I'm casually into retro gaming. So I kind of like, you know, I'm more so into the retro gaming content that's coming out. That's more like history focused, and just talking about like why it was so hard for I think the most recent one I was interested in was talking about the N64 and like how that was pretty hard to develop for and that type of stuff. So I'm more interested in more of like the technical stuff in the retro gaming scene. I'm not necessarily a big retro gamer, but I know that there's some folks that's all they do. Like for instance, you can see Hank here is showing his N64. I mean N64, his original in NES, and I know that he's a big retro gamer. So just wanted to create a space for folks that are really into the retro game scene. Um, and yeah, just hang out in that space. Since we are older, retro gaming is pretty much all of our childhood. So, moving on, trophy hunting. So, I know a bunch of people that are really big into 100% in platinum games, um, getting all the achievements. Last generation we called them achievement whores, but this one is like trophy hunters now. Um, so just want to create a space for folks that are trying to 100% games, really trying to really go for that completionist route. So we have a bunch of folks that are like you know avid completionists. So I wanted to create a space for that. Next one, uncanny games. So as I was saying before, like indie games are just releasing at a like very rapid rate, and so there's a lot of these indie games that are super weird and super uncanny. So I wanted to create a space for folks that can share their encounters with that, and really this really serves as a kind of a discovery zone, for folks that are maybe bored from the constant AAA games that are coming out, wanted to try something new. So this is a space to share games and learn about games that are uncanny. All right, so next one's a pretty self-explanatory. News, of course, like right now the big thing is next generation, and then also PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X. So there's a lot of news that's going to be dripping out for the next few months. So this is just a place for folks to share anything that they find that's cool in the news and video game related. Um, so yeah, that one's pretty self-explanatory. VGM. What is VGM? Stands for video game music. I love video game music. It always puts me in a good mood, especially when I'm working. I tend to shy away from music that doesn't have words, and the cool thing about a lot of video game music is it doesn't have words, and it's all instrumental, but it's has a lot of life to it. And so wanted to create a space for folks that can share their favorite video game music tracks, whether it be a whole soundtrack, whether it be some different tracks from retro games, that type of stuff. So this is just a space to do that, to share those different tracks that you like. And then we have streaming. If you're a streamer, like this is the spot to post when you're streaming. We have a few folks. I know Abel. You haven't been streaming in a while, Abel. What's going on, man? I've let's see. I'm gonna put you on blast. When was the last time you streamed? Uh, April 27th. Oh man. Yeah, man. You definitely gotta definitely gotta stream. I but basically, like, yeah, if you're streaming, this is the spot to do it. So next one, trailer hype. Um, so this is as we all know, like gaming is all about hype. It's so we wanted to create a space for whether it be new games or what that are coming out, trailers that you find that are hype, is getting you hype about a new game, that type of stuff. So this is just a area to dump that and to really participate in that. Yeah, man, I gotta put you on blast. I haven't seen you on Twitch. What's going on? Nah, I know life can get in the way, man. All right, bet. Yeah, definitely. We also gotta get back on our Street Fighter matches, man. I've been kind of grinding a bit on I'm actually silver rank in Street Fighter 5 now, finally. So yeah, we definitely gotta get on that. So yeah, trailer hype. Yeah, if you're any hype trailers that you find, post them here. Dank memes, of course. This is just like Discord tradition. So whatever memes you find funny or gamer related or life related, just share that here. Cool finds. This is just like bunch of it's basically random gaming related media, or anything that you find cool. You can post that here. And same thing with random. Random is just random. Post anything that you think. Uh, Local events. So this was just a space for folks to share. If it's not our events, maybe some other organizations' events. This was like the space to kind of share that. But of course, because COVID, things have changed a bit. Um, Online events as well. This is just the area where we just dump, any online events that are coming up. This is the spot for that. Then we're jumping down to our more community focused channels. We got the FGC, which stands for Fighting Game Community. So everything fighting game related, you can post it here. Esports is self-explanatory. You can put that here. I know, like in the esports world right now, Valorant is like the new hotness, which I don't get. That game looks so boring. But anyway, you can post anything esports related if you're into that scene. And then moving on to our platform specific channels. Of course, we got PlayStation. We got Xbox, Nintendo. So anything related to those platforms posted here. PlayStation, Xbox, they're battling each other out for the next gen, so a lot of stuff is going to be posted in there. Then we also have Parsec, and that's something that we're working on in the background. Parsec is basically a way for you to play PC games with somebody. So the game doesn't necessarily have to uh, doesn't have to support online multiplayer, but Parsec, what it does is it allows you to play with somebody remotely, locally. So if the game only supports local multiplayer, you can play with somebody. It basically emulates a local multiplayer existence. So that's something that we're working on. There's a bunch of like indie games that we want to do um, uh, in the future. So we're working on that. So definitely stay tuned. Game dev. This is also self-explanatory. Anything. We have a few amateur game developers in the community. So just basically having a space for folks to share knowledge on uh, what's going on in the game dev scene. Like for instance, Unreal Engine 5 is on the periphery. So that's releasing I think next year sometime. So just kind of talking about next gen and that type of stuff. So yeah, it's just a space for you to share news, information, that type of stuff. And then we have ongoing games. This is kind of morphing a bit. This was our League of Legends channel. I think we're gonna. You'll see in a second. We've kind of shifted the way that we're doing ongoing games. But this is something that we're kind of deprecating right now. Then of course we have admin, and like I said on the next video, you're gonna see the other folks behind DC Gaming Group. Then we got various voice channels. Right now we got our happy hour, so if you're interested, you can join in on the happy hour um, voice channel right now. Um, and then as I was saying before, like the way that we're doing online ongoing games, we're basically giving them their own like category to support various voice channels. So of course we have our Call of Duty category. We have Halo. We have just an open play. Animal Crossing is really huge. I got Apex, Jackbox, and Smash. And of course, like one of the things like is we want to if there's something that you want to feature that you feel that we should have a channel for, like let us know. Like this isn't for us. This is for the community. So if you have any suggestions, just feel free to shoot us a message. But yeah, that's basically a Discord server. Just wanted to kind of give an overview. I wanted to use this opportunity to kind of get the lurkers out and participate in some of these channels because it's for you. Now that we're trapped in the not necessarily trapped in the house, but not everything is kind of shut down. We don't have a space to actually go and meet up and all that type of stuff. Like this is Discord is this is what it's for. We want to get more involvement, get folks hype about gaming, especially gaming with each other, that type of stuff. So please definitely if you're on our Discord server, please feel free to post, participate in discussions, all that type of stuff. Um, so yeah, to round it out, we're hitting an hour long mark. So we have our Call of Duty event that's going on every Friday at 8. So if you're interested in that, and we're not doing necessarily tournaments, we're hanging out, we're doing custom games, we're doing very wacky games. Like we're doing like all knives and riot shields, we're doing all snipers and shotguns and just crazy shit. But the point is to just hang out with each other, meet new folks, just have fun with the game. Call of Duty is such a wacky game if you look at it. So we want to just highlight that. And then we have a trivia series that's coming up, and we're gonna be launching that pretty soon. But I wanted to thank everybody that came out and hung out, and I think I like this format, so I think I'm gonna stick with it. And like I said, the next episode is gonna be featuring the DCGG community. So definitely stay tuned for that. But yeah, thanks for coming out, hanging out, and I will see you on our Discord server. All right, peace.